Hi, I'm Austin McKee from McKee Guitars. I'm going to show you today a Gibson LG from the 60s. Some major repair work that we're doing on it here. McKee Guitars just doesn't only build custom guitars but also does repair, and we do extensive amount of repair, whether it be neck resets, put a new truss rod in, all the way to simple of setup, fret work. So I'm going to show you kind of a little bit of the different things that's going on with this Gibson LG. This one is a ladder braced LG with a spruce top. Usually you see the all mahogany ones. This one was one from about, I'm pretty sure 1963 or 4, somewhere in there, because it had the plastic bridge on it. So those tend to come up, they're screwed on. So what I did was take it off. I'm going to make a new wood one out of ebony, and I'm going to extend the back of this just a little bit, not too much, just so there's a little bit more meat back there. And what I had to do was scrape some of the finish. I'll do more of a better fit scraping off that finish for the new bridge. And I plugged up all the holes from the screws, so it's a nice one solid piece under there. The other thing that was going on with this guitar is there's two big old cracks running down through here. And what caused those could have been dryness. I think the major issue was each of the ladder braces in here came loose at the ends or even cracked, and then probably dryness or whatever happened there made these large cracks. So it was nice I was able to squeeze glue in there and then clamp the body so those cracks closed up nice. And then what I'm doing next is gluing the loose ends of the ladder brace in there. And one way you do that is a clamp. There's a couple different things. If the body was thick enough, I could use these jacks on the inside, put a little bit of pressure, and then come over top it with a cam clamp. But the body isn't thick enough for that. Some of your bigger guitars you can. The LG is a little bit of a smaller guitar, as you can see. They're really comfortable to play. So what you can do is make pieces of wood the right size that fit just right in between there. For instance, the shoulder brace and the ladder brace here line up. You can just wedge those in there and then put a clamp over it. And also too, what I do to make a clean glue job in there is I put tape alongside of the brace, each side of the brace, and then squeeze my glue in under the brace with a syringe. Now if you can fit a little piece of fine sandpaper under there, first sand under there, kind of rough up the surface and then blow out any dust. But that helps. You can clean up the glue, and then when you get things clamped, reach in there and pull the tape off, and you don't have glue mess everywhere on the inside. The other thing this needed was a new truss rod. The neck had quite a bit of bow in it, and the truss rod snapped off right at the nut. You can see here. Gibson, I just put in a recently built gold top Les Paul new truss rod, and the truss rods seem like they're soft. When you bend them, you only have to bend them a little bit, and they stay that way. I just don't feel like they're too great quality of truss rods. You can see the nut here that it snapped off there. So what I did, there's my anchor nut for the truss rod, and then I made my own. I got some stainless steel rod here, and I threaded both ends, one for the anchor nut and then the other for the adjustment nut here. And so what I did to get it out, I had to route out the filler strip they put in, and then dig out the truss rod, make a new filler strip, and glue it in. So I got to trim this filler strip. And whenever I take out a truss rod from a guitar, also too, what I do is reinforce it. So on either side of this filler strip, I'm going to route 1/8" slots by 3/8 deep on either side, and put carbon fiber bars in there to reinforce that neck even more, and yet you still have adjustability with that truss rod. Of course, the fingerboard, you have to heat them off, and you have to there's some wood left over. Sometimes you have a little bit tear out there when you're taking them off, but that's solid on there, so it'll glue back up into the slot where it came out. But sometimes you just have that little bit of that problem there with that. But anything loose, you glue it back down, and then once I get those carbon fiber bars in there, trim those, then place the fingerboard back on there, and then re-glue it. You can do rubber bands, clamps. You just gotta make sure it doesn't creep left or right. Another thing you can do too is drill a hole here and a hole here, put a dowel rod and match it up on the fingerboard as locating pins, and put the fingerboard back on there, and then everything's lined up nice. Now the other thing this guitar needed also too was a neck reset. In order to do a neck reset, you got your dovetail joint here. This is a glued in dovetail, and you get your imagine a fingerboard on there. So what you do is you take the fret below the body joint, you pull that out, you drill a little access steam hole. I usually use a 3/32 hole, and what that will do will come right into this gap here between the dovetail. So this is the tenon and this is the mortise of the dovetail. So mortise and tenon have a gap. So the tool that you use for this is a simple old little espresso machine with a basketball needle clamped onto some hose onto the steam valve. And so what you do, you put that basketball needle right into the hole, and then you turn it on, and there's a tool. I'll take you over here and show you the tool. This guy goes around the body, and this adjustment knob puts pressure on the back of the heel. So what I do, I put that on, and I clamp the guitar with the neck in the vise, angling the body like this, so if any water or glue runs out away from the guitar. And then you let that happen you let steam pour in there for about 2 minutes. Keep constantly cleaning off the water off the guitar and everything. And then what you start doing is actually start rocking that body and getting that joint to work loose. And once you see that there's a lot of gap happening in between the heel and the body, then you start applying pressure on that knob to slide the neck forward out of the body. And then what you do is on the heel here, you clean up any glue, hide glue on the dovetail and even on the inside of the body. And then what you're focusing on with the neck reset, you've got to get that neck to angle back a little more so you don't have a height issue between here and here. So what you're going to do is, when you look down the top of these frets, they should meet right to the top of the bridge. What I like to do though is overset them just a little bit to compensate for that loading of the bridge with the string tension. So what you got to focus on, there's 3 points to focus on with the neck reset. There's the fit of the heel to the body. There is the center line, which you don't want your neck that way or else your strings are going to be way off. And then the pitch, which gives you your height. Now the thing with Gibsons, they do not put a radius on their bridge. They're pretty flat. well, there's a radius, a 12-inch radius on the fretboard. So when you set that neck with the Gibson, you have to overset one side over the other. So when you go to lower that saddle in the future, lower your action, it all evens out. So what I'm going to do with this bridge when I make a new one is put a radius on it. Taylor's another company that doesn't put a radius on their bridge, and I think it just works better if you put a radius on your bridge. So this guitar needs a lot of TLC. We're on a good path of getting it going here. I gotta get going on the neck here and get the fingerboard glued back on once I get the carbon fiber bars in the mail here, and then go along with the neck reset and finish out those braces, and it'll be a totally functioning working piece again, and easy to play. So that's a Gibson LG that needs a lot of work, but what I found out with these guys is there's a lot of guys that have sentimental value to the LGs. I had a guy come in a year or two ago with the LG, and the kids sat on it, collapsed the whole top. So we put a better top on it, made it sound nicer. But these are really cool little guitars. They're nice and comfortable to play, and they're a good guitar to take traveling around with you. And this one here, if it was X-Brace, it probably sound a little better, but they didn't do that. But now you can kind of see kind of internals of what goes into a guitar, how to do some of the major repairs, what it takes. It's no easy task. Here at McKee Guitars, we can handle a lot of these repairs. So go ahead and check out the website. It's McKee Guitars at McKee Guitar, www.McKeeGuitars.com, and the email is McKeeGuitars@yahoo.com.